What is up, and welcome back to the channel. I know fantasy football. So, I want to have some fun today. And, we are about 2 weeks away from the season to kick off. And I cannot be more excited. So, let me tell you something. I was thinking about this, and I actually want to go over some running backs that are in the top 10 ADP for the 24 season, the 2024-2025 season. As you well know, we go into February for the Super Bowl time frame. So it's the 24-25 season, basically. But I wanted to go over the running backs, the top 10 running backs, where they stand in the ESPN ADP and also where I feel like they should be at in the ADP. And there's a couple of running backs on here that um, they may not be in that particular category of the top 10 when the season's over with, but we don't know. And there's also a couple of running backs on here. Well, excuse me, they're not on here. So basically, running backs that used to stand out in the season, we're going to talk about them as well because they are not on here. So what I did today is I actually broke down 3 years of performance from the running backs. And as you well know, there may be some running backs that you will not see any kind of statistics for them because they are either going into their second year or they were out for a season because of injury. So, without further ado, do me a favor. I'm going to ask you once because this is a fun channel about fantasy football, and I am so excited to be here. Woo! As you can see, my headband. But go ahead and hit the like button if you like this video. Also, I would like for you to subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to have fun all season long, and I cannot express that enough. It's going to be so much fun playing fantasy football, PPR league, standard league. So let's go. So I'm going to get over here and I'm going to pull up my lovely 10 running backs here. And so first and foremost, we have Christian McCaffrey. And if we look at his stats from 2023 all the way back to 2021, we see that he had 272 carries for 1,459 yards and 14 rushing touchdowns in 16 games last year, which was great because Christian McCaffrey, he's the type of running back that he's explosive when it comes to rushing, vision, and also catching the ball. And I didn't put any stats for catching right now because, I mean, when you really look at it, a lot of times you have stellar receivers on a team to where the running back don't really catch the ball unless it's needed from, a dump off pass or something. But 2022, he had a pretty good season again, 1,000-yard rusher. 17 games he played in 2022, which was amazing to me because Christian McCaffrey had back when he played for the Carolina Panthers, he had some issues with injuries, hamstrings, quads, ankles, things like that. And if you haven't checked out my last video, I talked about injuries and the injuries that play a factor when it comes to running backs and receivers. Also quarterbacks too, but as you well know, the quarterback is supposed to be protected. And of course, they are when it comes to getting hit. So I wanted to just tie in the running backs and receivers, excuse me. So 2021 season was where he was having issues with being hurt a lot. And so he didn't play a lot of games in 2021. And with that being said, he only had one rushing touchdown. And that was rushing. We're not talking about receiving, rushing. But I believe that this year, playing with the 49ers, he's going to have another good season. And I think that he is a true number one pick. Um, I don't know how you pick during your draft strategy, but usually running backs come off the board really fast, as well as receivers. So I rank him as number one, the same as ESPN Fantasy Football. Now, the next person remains a question mark, and that's Brees Hall. Brees Hall, great speed. He's got great pocket vision. He's the type of player that he plays for a terrible team, as you can tell in the background here. I have my New England Patriots because I'm a Patriot fan, and I really don't go for the Jets. Let's just say, but last year almost had 1,000 yards rushing, had 5 touchdowns in 16 games. When I see a running back, I want them to have double-digit touchdowns because when you get to the goal line, that running back should be able to get it, punch it in there. But of course, sometimes you got that stellar defense that it doesn't work. In 2022 was where Brees Hall had some injury issues, and so he only had 80 carries for 463 yards, and he had 4 touchdowns in 7 games. So just imagine if he was to increase that touchdowns and carries in the 2024 season, then he may be a number 2 running back for me. But I don't agree with it, and I believe that me personally, I rank him as number 7 because there are many other running backs before him that I believe will, be better than him. And I'm not just talking about that because he's a Jets player. I'm just talking about that in general. And I know they have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, a future Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl champion, and everything. But Aaron Rodgers is as old as I am. He's in his 40s. You know what I'm saying? I think he's 40 years old, or maybe even 41 now. He's not Tom Brady. I just let me just go ahead and put that out there. He is not Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the GOAT for a reason. Aaron Rodgers is an amazing player, though. And hopefully he'll be able to play a full season this year because, of course, it was that controversy over that Achilles after he talked crap or whatever. And I think it was the first possession or first series he had injured himself. So, hey, hopefully that won't happen again this year. Uh, Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson was amazing last year, and I was not too thrilled with the playing time that he did not get in the beginning of the season. The coach actually started to think about it and put Bijan in there because he was the better running back. And geez, I'm drawing a blank on the previous running back. Post in the comments who the previous running back was, or the running back that was actually taking the carries over Bijan when Bijan came in. And I know rookies, you're kind of hesitant in playing rookies, but this guy is amazing. And with him playing last year as his first season, he had 214 carries, 976 rushing yards, and he played 17 games. Now, keep this in mind. If you get in the game, that means you played the game. Now, it all depends on how long you play in that game. But Bijan had a little bit of issues with the other running back there, who was, taking a lot of snaps. And that's going to be the same thing for another running back that I want to talk about too, but we're not going to get to that just yet. But hey, I believe he's going to be number 4 this year. With Kirk Cousins under the center, they're going to be able to spread the ball around. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, they're going to get their looks and they are going to get their shots. And Bijan is just he's just a kiss to that game now since Kirk Cousins is there as the quarterback. His ADP is number 3 in regards to ESPN fantasy football. Now, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor had 169 carries last year for 741 yards and 7 touchdowns in 10 games. 10 games, almost 1,000 yards. This guy is an amazing player, and I hope that he can stay healthy this year because he had issues with his ankle. He had issues just, banged and beat up. So hopefully he will be able to be that type of caliber of a player, but I'm still kind of hesitant on him right now because we don't know. When it comes to running backs, because I used to play running back in high school. I wanted to play in college, but they was like, oh, well, we need DBs, so we're going to have you as a defensive back. And I was like, whatever, as long as I'm playing or as long as I'm in there. But yeah, 192 carries, 864 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns in 2022. Now, 2021 is where he broke out. In 2021, we were like, this dude, he's rushing for 200 yards in games and things like that. He's getting multiple touchdowns in a game. This guy he's going to be the number 1 from here on out until he got hurt. So, he's ranked number 6. And I believe that he is number 6. Excuse me. He's ranked number 4 in ESPN. And I believe he's number 6. Because I think that there are some other running backs that are going to be before him that you will see here pretty soon. But Saquon Barkley, another amazing guy. Injuries with his knees, ACL, whatever, Achilles, hamstring, calf, whatever it is. This guy is still a great player. And I'm not going to discredit him. I'm not going to count him out because he did play for a terrible Giants team that I really don't care for either. So sorry, New York. If you're a New York fan, I do apologize. However, with Saquon, 247 carries, 962 yards, 6 touchdowns rushing in 2023. 2022, better year, great year. a year that he was, doing his thing. 295 carries, 1,312 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns in 16 games. Now that's what you want to see. Those touchdowns, double digits. And there was a person, I'm going to throw him out there here in a little bit because he's not on the top 10 list for running backs. But yeah, I think Saquon is going to be a number two this year. I think he's going to be that number two guy because he's playing for an Eagles team that they have talent all around. And it's going to do nothing but open him up because you can't put 8 in a box against Saquon when you have Devonta Smith, you have A.J. Brown, and also Jalen Hurts. So it's going to be some interesting things that happen for the Eagles this year. ESPN has him as number 5. We'll see about that. But I think he's going to be that number 2 guy. Kyron Williams. Listen, nobody heard of Kyron Williams until he got in the game and he just showed out. And then everybody went to the waiver wires to pick him up. Me, for instance, tried to get him, but one of my buddies got him instead. This guy, 228 carries, 1,144 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, and we're not even talking about the catches. In 12 games, think about that. 12 games. Wow. I mean, if he was healthy last year, this guy, he would have probably been the number 2 running back behind Christian McCaffrey, or maybe even the number 1. But Kyron Williams, great player, very shifty, great vision. He can get the ball thrown to him, and he sees the open space, and he's getting some yards. So 2022 season, only 35 carries for 139 yards, 0 touchdowns because nobody knew about Kyron Williams. Nobody expected him to do the things that he did in the 2023 season. So I see him ranked as number 5. ESPN sees him ranked at number 6. So we're kind of close. But keep it in mind, it's a game of football. Anything can happen. Injuries can happen. Jahmyr Gibbs, and I might not have spelled his name right, but, I'm thinking Jamir, but, it's spelled all kind of ways these days, and I'm just not going to even go there, but you know who he is. Detroit Lions. 182 carries, 945 rushing yards, and 10 touchdowns in 15 games. Keep in mind, David Montgomery was taking some of those carries. If David Montgomery is the number 2 running back now and Jahmyr is the number 1, you're going to see a shift. And I believe that Jahmyr Gibbs will be the number 3. ESPN has him as number 7. I don't know if you guys watched him play, but this young guy is just amazing. He's really good. Let me get a drink of water, too, while I'm at it. But David Montgomery, he's an amazing player, too. And he's not on this list right here for the top 10, but he's a pretty good player as well. He's really good because he got a lot of touchdowns last year. Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah. Plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's a 2-time Super Bowl winner. I think. I could be wrong, but post in the comment section if the Kansas City Chiefs won 2 years in a row. Because, Patrick Mahomes, what can you say? Another future Hall of Famer. But Isaiah Pacheco, 205 carries, 935 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns in 14 games, almost a 1,000-yard rusher. But in the 2022 season, 170 carries, 830 yards, and 5 rushing touchdowns. He's a number 8. I agree with ESPN with that. Because, Isaiah Pacheco, I'm about to say Kyron Williams, but Isaiah Pacheco, he's a downhill running back. I really didn't see him. I don't know. He wasn't breaking tackles for me. He wasn't juking anybody out of their socks or anything like that last year. So, Travis Etienne, I had him last year. Started doing good in the beginning of the season. I believe he was hurt towards the latter part of the season, so he wasn't getting it enough. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to do back then. Excuse me. I get a little choky up over here, cottonmouth. But without further ado, Travis Etienne, 220 carries, 1,125 rushing yards, and 5 touchdowns. I need touchdowns, running backs. Double digits. the 2022 season, 267 carries, 1,008 rushing yards. He has been a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher with 11 touchdowns. I mean, he had 11 touchdowns in 2022 season. What happened? Why is he not getting in the end zone? I think he's number 10. ESPN ranked him at number 8. And I do not agree with that. Oh, excuse me, number 9. He's number 10 to me. Now, let's switch it, though. Derrick Henry. We know the truck. Derrick Henry. Playing for the Baltimore Ravens now. 280 carries last year. 1,167 rushing yards with 12 touchdowns. Now, let's look at this trend here. 349 carries in 2022. 1,538 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns in 16 games. 2021, 219 carries for 993 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns in 10 games. He only played 10 games in 2021, and I think it was either his shoulder or something that put him out for the rest of the year because they weren't going to be winning anything anyway. So, that kind of, they just said, you know what, we're going to save him for the 2022 season because we don't want anything to happen to him where it's career ending or anything like that for the Titans. Now he's playing for the Ravens. Look out. I know he's going to get the ball. I know he's going to be running people over. I know he's going to be doing that breakaway speed. And Lamar Jackson has another weapon on the team. Oh, my goodness. But he's ranked number 9 for me and number 10 for ESPN. Now, I put him above Travis Etienne is because Derrick Henry, I think that he just wanted to get out of Tennessee. I think he's got a new breath of fresh air this season. And since he's not playing for Tennessee anymore, he's playing for a team that can be a contender. With that being said, I think that he's going to be a different player this year. He could be in the top 5. He could be right where he's at number 10, or he might not even be in the top 15. We don't know. However, let me get this out of here. Sorry, guys. The computer likes to tell us things whenever we're busy doing something. But anyways, so David Montgomery was a touchdown hawk last year. But guess what? Guess what running backs are not in the top 10 this year? Think about it, because, there's quite a few. I can name off 3. Austin Eckler. This guy was getting touchdowns back in 2022 like it was no other. Josh Jacobs. He blew up 2 years ago. And Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was the type of guy that he was good, but he wasn't top 10 good. So, with that being said, check it out. I will be posting the receiver video soon. Post in the comments what you think. Also, subscribe to the channel. And I appreciate you guys for everything that you've done with hanging out with me today. And I know fantasy football. Peace.